Hello everyone and Merry Christmas! Welcome to my first ever C++ video. Today we will take a look at creating the classic arcade falling items game using the simple and fast multimedia library. Now, before we begin, you have to download this library. So if you go to sfml-dev.org, click the download tab, and go to the latest stable version and download the library version based on your compiler. So I have Visual C++ 17 version installed. Next, you'll have to unzip the package and configure it in the project properties. But this is quite well documented here in the tutorials tab. So if you go to SFML and Visual Studio and follow the instructions here, you should be able to launch SFML. Okay, so anyways, let's get started. First, we have to create our application window. So to do that, I'm going to import the graphics library. Now let's create our main function. First, I would like to define the width and the height of our game, which will be 1200 pixels and 800 pixels. Next, we have to create the render window. So SF render window, and the constructor takes the video mode, which will be of window width and window height, and the title. Touch the gifts. Next, to test if our application works, let's declare a shape variable that we will display on the screen. Next, while the window is open, let's check for some events. While const standard optional event equals window poll event. Oh, I'm sorry. I want to do an event, not event. If the event is of type SF event closed, let's close the window. Now, let's clear the window. Let's display our shape. And let's do window.display. Okay, and as you can see, it works. Okay, quick interruption. Please move out the window.clear, the window.draw, and the window.display methods from the poll event loop just into the window is open loop. Because otherwise, well, this will lag a lot. Now we need to create 3 more classes. Game class, a gift class, and a player class. Let's also create the source files. First, I would like to focus on the game class. So I'm going to include SFML graphics library and also the audio library. Before actually creating the class, let's create 2 structs to hold the game textures and also game sounds. We need 4 textures: the bug texture, the elf texture, gift texture, and the background texture. And in the sounds, we need 3 sounds: the collect sound, incorrect sound, and the defeated sound if we lost the game. And we also need some background music. Now we will declare all of that in the main CPP file. Next, let's create our class finally. And this will inherit from sfdrawable. If we inherit from sfdrawable, we have to overwrite the draw function, which will be private. So first the constructor, it will take the width of the window, the height of the window, game textures, the game sounds, and also the font. All of those assets will be available in the description. We also need an update method. Now in the private fields, I would like a private width and a private height, 3 private texts, also a sprite for our background, and also a reference to game textures and game sounds. Okay, nice. So now in the game.cpp, let's implement all of those methods. First, the constructor. Game, game, load width, load height. Also need game textures, game sounds, and the font. Now we have to create an initializer list and initialize our variables. So width, height, also the score text, which will display our player's score. So we need HP text, also the restart text, which will be displayed once the game is over. So we need to install game textures and the game sounds. Nice. Whoops, this should be before the body, just like that. Okay. Oh, we also need to initialize the background from game textures dot background texture. Okay. Next, I would like to set the character size, the style, and the fill color for texts. So for example, let's set the character size of the score to 64, style to bold, the fill color to black, and the position be just a bit from the left side. And also, let's do something similar for the half points text and for the restart text. In the header, we have to declare two more functions, the update score text function and the update HP text function. Let's go back to the source file. And here, I would like to set the score to the player's score, but we don't have the player yet, so I'm just going to set this to 0. And similarly, for the HP text, let's just send the lives also to 0. Now in the constructor, let's call these methods. Nice. Okay, we also have to implement the update method and the draw method. So now the update method will be just empty. Over in the draw method, I'm going to draw a background, just for now. Okay, let's go to the main file. Let's include game.h. Now we have to import all of our assets to our C++ code. And we'll do that using SF texture. So for example, SF texture, back texture, we pass the name of the file to the constructor. Let's do the same for the elf, the background, and the gift. Now we can create our game textures struct. We also have to import the sounds, and we need a sound buffer for that, as well as the sound class. This basically loads the file, and this uses it. Let's do the same for two more. Nice. Let's check if the sounds actually play. Let's play the collect sound. Okay, I hope you've heard that this works. I would also like to import the music. Let's set the volume to 40. The values here range from 0 to 100. Let's create the game sound struct. We also have to import a font. Next, let's create finally the game object. Game, let's pass the window with the window height, game textures, game sounds, and the font. Here, let's draw our game instead of the shape. Let's see. Okay, nice, but our background is quite small. What we need to do is to scale it up. So here I'm going to declare a static float with scaling factor. And in the game.cpp, I'm going to set that scaling factor to 10 pixels. So 1 pixel on the texture file is 10 pixels wide on the screen. And here let's scale our background. So curly braces, scaling factor, scaling factor. Hooray, let's go. So we no longer need that example shape we declared before. Now I would like to focus on the gift class. Let's include our graphics library. So now class gift inherits from SFML drawable. This needs to override the draw method. We also want some methods and fields. First, the constructor. We have to specify the type of our gift, which will basically be the texture, Now, is the gift call or not? How fast does it fall? The position in which the gift will be created, and the texture file. Let's also specify the gift sprite, and the boolean is call, and the float speed. Next, in the gift CPP, let's include our gift header, and let's create the constructors. Gift type. Actually, you can just copy this from the header. Next, the initialization list. Gift sprite will be initialized using the gift texture. So let's initialize this call, the speed, and that should be all. Next, the constructor body. The gift sprite should be set to a small part of the texture here, because we have multiple gifts. Each has 16 pixels. Every gift is 16 pixels wide and 16 pixels high. So you want, for example, only take this part or only this part. We don't want the whole texture. So here we have to use something called set texture rect. With sprite.set texture rect. First argument is the intRect class, which takes the starting point, and the size of texture. So it starts at type 16, at the y is 0, and is 16 pixels wide and 16 pixels high. Now I would also like to define the scaling factor in the gift class. Static float scaling factor. Now in the gift CPP float gift scaling factor equals 5 pixels. Let's scale the gift sprite. Gift sprite.scale curly braces 5.f 5.f. Oh, sorry. I meant to use the scaling factor. Let's set the gift position. Next, let's specify the draw function. Well, here we just have to call target.draw and draw the gift sprite. Just like this. Okay, now let's display our image, our gifts on the screen. In the game header, let's include gift.h. Let's also import the standard vector, and I would like to have a vector of gifts in our game. Next, in the structure, we have to append some gifts to the gifts array. Let's do just that. Gifts.pushback, a new gift will be of type 0. This will not be a call, and will have a falling speed of 200 pixels per second. And let's display it maybe 100 pixels from the left and 500 pixels from the top. Now in the draw function, we have to iterate through every gift and draw it on the screen. So for const gift in gifts, target, draw gift. Let's see if this works. Nice, we have our gift. Let's add a few more. And let's run our script. Hooray! We have 5 of our gifts. Nice. Okay, next, well, I would like the images to fall down and actually do something. So, for gift in gifts, let's move the gift sprite by x0, because we only want them to move in a vertical line. We give the speed times delta time. And I will explain the delta time in a second. So let's go back to our main file. Well, delta time is basically how much time rendering every frame has taken. So basically how much time everything inside here takes. So to capture that in SFML, you have to define a clock. So sf clock, my clock, let's also create a variable called dt, which I will initialize to 0.016 seconds. Now this means that we have 16 frames per second. So this is the delta time if the FPS was 60, but it probably won't be. And after the content of the while loop, let's assign myclock.restart as seconds to the delta time. And here, before we clear the window, let's do game.update and pass the delta time. Okay, let's run our game. Let's see, the gifts fall down. Yay! But if they are outside of the screen, I would like them to appear again at the top, or actually above the top. So to do that, let's first add a function to our gift class called bool under map to take the height of the map. And also let's create a method restart. It's going to randomize our image texture and position. So give.cpp. First, we have to include the random library, and I'm going to create two helping functions, random int and random float. Well, generating random numbers in C++ is unfortunately kind of complicated, so you can just copy this from here. Now, bool gift under map, take float height. First, we need the global bounds of our gift sprite. So where this is on the screen, let's do dot get global bounds. And now we will return an expression if the gift rect position is greater than height. Let's return true because this will be under the game map. Now the restart method, gift restart. By default, I would like to set is called to false. Next, let's randomize the gift type, and let's set the texture to be one of those 7 types. So type multiplied by 16. This will be the starting x of our textures. This will be the starting y, and size is 16. Now, if the type is a call, so 6 or a 7, let's set is called true. And actually here I would like to pass one more variable, max width. Let's update the header as well. Now let's randomize the sprite position. So give sprite set position, now curly braces, and let's create a random float from 0 printf to max width minus maybe 200, because I don't want the gifts to be horizontally outside of the map. Now, negative random float, negative because we want this to be above the map, for example from 100 to 800 pixels. Okay, let's go back to our game.cpp file. So if the gift is under the map, let's do gift.restart. Let's pass the width of our arena. Nice. Oh, sorry, I'm so sorry. This should be outside of the poll event function. My bad, my bad. Let's try again. Okay, this is much better than before. Okay, Let's also display the score text and the HP text here. Let's add some background music. Game sounds. Oops, sorry. Game sounds. Dot background music dot play. Nice. So now the only thing that is left is actually the player and some animations. But I'm going to focus on that in the next episode. So thanks so much for watching and see you next time.